Hey, what's happening, everybody? Today, we're going to do a response to a Patreon request, which was kind of a keyboard tutorial. Now, the guitar is my main instrument, but one of the things that happened with me growing up is I grew up in a house that had a piano, and envisioning, and I think maybe showing music theory makes probably the most sense on this instrument. It's just a lovely instrument. I love playing and love having one in my work. But there's three things that we're going to be doing. We're going to be looking at, eventually, writing melodies that may or may not work because they might not sit within a key, and how you can get those to work with basic chord theory. Before that, we're going to take a look at the basics of putting together major and minor chords with the 3/4, 4/3 intervals. And before that, we're going to take a look at the basics of how the keyboard works and just finding octaves for any notes. So if you are familiar with all of that, awesome. If this is all brand new to you, don't sweat. I'm going to take from the very, very beginnings on this. But if you already know how to find octaves, you can skip to this time. If you already know how to construct major and minor chords and the theory behind that and those intervals, you can skip to this time, get straight to the melody making. All right, so if you're still here, we're probably going to be looking at the piano and thinking, that's a lot of notes. It seems pretty scary, but there's really only 12 notes, and they repeat going up and down. And the way that you find those notes, I'm going to just, that's an F sharp. I just kind of randomly chose that. If we take a look at the patterns on the piano, if you're not familiar with this, the black keys come in two groups, a group of 2 and a group of 3. And I just played this note. So these can always give you your relationship or your position based on any of these 3 black keys can tell you where you are on the piano. I find that one of the main ways I think about it. So I'm playing the lowest of the 3 black keys. So I can find that. No, I added the 5th there. But the idea is that, like, once you find some notes that sound pretty good together, you can, if you find them in one spot, you can move them either up or down to find the exact same looking note, and it's going to be 12 steps. So if I want to go from here, let's say I make something like, well, that sounds cool, but it might sound cooler if it was like a little bit more of like a death march and nice and low. Would it sound like really high? Well, that's like a Tim Burton movie right there. Anyway, so the idea is that you can find something simple, and you can give yourself a lot of variety just simply by moving any of these notes up or down 12 steps. So if I'm going from here to here, here's what we would call the root note, and 12. And you can go down. Well, obviously the keyboard works in both directions. So that's how you're going to find octaves. Now, I recognize this is a video, and if I might be going fast, that's cool. You can pause it, you can come back to this, bookmark the video, even bookmark the times and stuff if you find that helpful. So the next thing at which we're going to look is putting together basic chords. And we're going to start with like the 2 most basic, actually that's all we're going to do in just this one little video. We're going to make major and minor chords. And the first thing that I want you to think about, if you're not familiar with this concept yet, is that major chords are happy and minor chords are sad. So if you play both of those back to back, here's just a C major. Sounds nice and happy. And if we play a C minor, so I'm just playing 3 notes and kind of repeating them going up and down the way that we had talked about earlier. So the intervals for major and minor chords are pretty similar. It's just 4 and 3 ascending for a major chord, and 3 and 4 ascending for a minor chord. So we're going to choose a note. Again, we chose D. So if I'm going to make a happy chord, I'm going to start with this note. I'm going to count up 4. Play those 2 notes together. The original and the one that's 4 up. Already sounds pretty happy. Again, I can play that anywhere. Just going to play right in the middle. And then, so that's my 4, and then I'm going to count up 3. So I went 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to remember that note, and I'm going to count up 3 more. So all 3 of those together. And we can start moving these notes up and down. So I'm just taking those 3 notes. Just those 3 notes. I'm just moving this highest note down to be lower. I'm moving this highest note down to be lower. And just continue. Just 3 notes, but you can get a lot of variety out of that. Now the minor will do the same thing, except it's going to be 3 and then 4. We'll start with a C. So C, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just playing those same 3 notes all the way up, and I can get this nice, beautiful, sad sound. So those intervals 4 and 3, and 3 and 4 clearly both add up to 7. So the only thing that's changing is that one note in the middle, and it's only changing by 1. So if I start with my C, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the lowest and the highest note of that chord in general. And then if I want to make it happy, the first interval is 4. If I want to make it sad, the first interval is 3. I can do that with any note. Let's try it with A. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then if I want to make it happy, the first interval will be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I want to make it sad, I'm just going to move that down 1 to 3. 1, 2, 3. So with that, we have the ability to make any note that we play either happy or sad based on the context of the chord that we're going to play on top of it. So we're going to choose a random note here, and yeah, C sharp. Okay, let's make that happy. So I'll put it inside of a C sharp major. That sounds nice and happy. And let's play it with the low note and C sharp major up here. Also works. Let's make that sound sad. So I'll do a C sharp minor. Sad. Now we can also say, okay, well, what other notes would have that C sharp in it? Well, we can go, we can put that in the middle, so we can have the first interval be 4, so it'd be major, so we'll count backwards 4, and then up 3. It's another way to make that note happy. Have it be the 5th, so it would go down 7. So then that's F sharp. I can make it be happy with, or let's start with sad first. Now we can make that, or we make it the happy. Something pretty straightforward, but the idea is that those intervals you can use anywhere to create either major or minor chords. Then of course we can take those notes and we can start moving them up and down. So this lowest note I'll move up, just like that, or down. And just almost missed one there. So let's take a look at putting a melody together that seems kind of nonsensical, and how can we make it work? I'm going to just again go back to intervals. I'm going to do 4-1, 4-1, just something really straightforward. Doesn't really make sense in terms of notes that would be in the key. We're going to go 4 and then 1 back, and then 4 up, and then 1 up. So it'll be 4 up, 1 back, 4 up, 1 back. So we'll start with 4 up, 1 back, 4 up, and 1 up. So let's start with that. And I've already got this 4 interval and this 4 interval, so I've got an idea of what chords would fit there. 4, 3 gives me G major. I've got 4, then another 3, that'll be major. So I'm going to use those chords, and we'll just add a bit of a rhythm to it. So let's go ahead, and we've already let's just use all happy chords. That'd be, 4 and 3. Let's do those last two, a little too anticipatory. Let's soften that by just moving them down 12. So maybe. Now we're starting to get something that would work. Now I'm moving the whole chord up, so let's look at moving some of those higher notes in those chords down, so we can have that fingering all be kind of in one spot. Let's move this down to here. It's a little more comfortable to switch. Both of these notes are pretty high, so I'm going to move both of them down to here. Of course, we can play those chords. or maybe we can't play those chords. So we've got the ability to use those chords. And that was just saying, let's just use each of those main notes that jumped out as the melody of the melody. Let's just use those as the root of happy chords. Let's try switching that around. Now we already have this 4 here and this 4 here, so we've used those as the first intervals in major chords. Let's try using those as the second interval, which is also a 4 in minor chords. So, and then this we use as the root. And so far, let's try using that as the third also of a minor chord. That'd be or we could even use this as a root, just as a minor chord. Ooh, that's interesting. Or as the major, as I did before. I don't remember what I was doing there. Yeah, this would be the major. 4 and then 3. I like that a lot. Let's transpose this down. So now we've got that melody that's working on all these different chords. Let's take a look at trying a whole bunch of different ones, kind of in different orders. So just by using the basics of 3 and 4 for minor, 4 and 3 for major as the intervals, we took a melody that didn't really make much sense. It was just kind of an exercise, and we were able to turn it into something. Hopefully that was helpful. I use this stuff and the transposition stuff all the time. For some reason, I was never really taught it in a way that made sense to me. So I'm really happy to make a video that hopefully will unlock this door to some other folks. It's applicable to every instrument I've ever played. So hopefully, you know, I've earned your sub at the very least. Check out the Patreon. Thank you, Michael, for this question. And if you, I'd love it if you would sign up, stuff like that. Of course, I want to thank my patrons. And let me know what you think. I might be doing more stuff like this. I might not. Cheers.